If I may be so bold, I really think that one of my strengths as a coach is being able to ask people really good questions. I like to think of myself as a pretty good listener, and I've found frequently over almost 10 years of coaching, hundreds and hundreds of one-on-one clients, that if you ask the right question, that can really go a long way toward helping someone get the full perspective on their experience of something like retroactive jealousy, on their experience of something like obsessive jealousy. Obviously, asking yourself the right questions is not enough to solve the problem, but it's a really important step in the right direction. So in today's video, I'm going to share 3 questions that I believe every single retroactive jealousy sufferer should ask themselves at least once. My name is Zachary Stockhill from retroactivejealousy.com, and since 2013, I've been helping men and women from all over the world overcome retroactive jealousy, overcome obsessive jealousy, and save their relationships. If you'd like more information about my work, or you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please visit my website at retroactivejealousy.com. Now, as I just mentioned, merely asking yourself the right questions is not enough when it comes to confronting and overcoming any problem in life. But there's that famous quote, I think it's by Einstein, who said it's something, I'm going to butcher the quote, but the quote is something like, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend the first 45 minutes asking myself the right questions about that problem, trying to formulate the main question to solve that problem. So asking yourself the right questions is very important. By the way, if you would like an extremely affordable way to work with me, in a certain sense, I offer a workbook called the Overcoming Jealousy Workbook, which is basically an 8-week, I think 9-week program filled with asking yourself questions. It's kind of journaling and self-directed writing activities. You can find a link to that in the description. But for now, I'm just going to offer you 3 questions that I think you should ask yourself at some point if you're struggling with retroactive jealousy. The first question is, have you ever been this in love before? Maybe you've been in love before. Maybe you've been in love several times with incredible people. But have you ever felt this deeply about anyone before? Have you ever felt so emotionally invested in a relationship? Have you ever experienced such intense feelings of love and desire, and perhaps in some cases, possessiveness? This is a very important question to ask yourself, because when we're in the midst of falling in love with someone with a capital L for the first time, that can bring up all kinds of really intense and charged emotions, feelings of, instincts of mate guarding and possessiveness, and just a general sense of anxiety around losing this precious thing that we found. Falling in love is absolutely wonderful. I've been fortunate enough to fall in love several times in my life. But the first time I fell sort of capital L, head over heels, absolutely madly in love, was also the time, back when I was a much younger man, when I struggled with retroactive jealousy. So obviously just falling in love is not enough to cause anyone to feel retroactive jealousy. As you probably know, this weird little niche issue of retroactive jealousy, i.e. intrusive thoughts, unwanted curiosity, mental movies, etc., around a partner's past relationships and or sexual history, this issue of retroactive jealousy is relatively niche. This isn't widespread among the population. There's all kinds of people who fall madly in love who never struggle with anything like retroactive jealousy. However, for a certain portion of us, for people like us, maybe with more obsessive personalities by nature, maybe people with some kind of trauma in our past, maybe people in strict religious or spiritual households, that kind of thing. For a certain portion of us, falling in love can cause us to feel all kinds of unwanted feelings, such as jealousy, such as obsessive jealousy, such as intense curiosity surrounding a partner's past, such as wanting to mate guard that person, wanting to be extremely possessive. So it's worth asking yourself this question. If you're struggling with retroactive jealousy, have you ever been this in love before? And could that be spurring on some of your intense feelings of intense jealousy and intense possessiveness? And just to be absolutely clear, I hope you know that I'm not saying that the remedy is to thus, break up with your partner and never fall in love. That's a pretty lousy solution, or it would be. That's not what I'm suggesting, but merely having the perspective can be helpful. My second question that I think you should ask yourself, or that I'm asking you rather, is, have you ever felt anything like retroactive jealousy in any of your past relationships? Now, I think this varies probably kind of like 50-50, if I were to guess, among my coaching clients when I ask them this question. For a certain percentage, let's say around half, when I ask them this question, they'll say, well, actually, yeah, I have felt very similar feelings in like 3 of my past 4 relationships. Or for some people, I've felt some kind of retroactive jealousy every single time I've ever been with anyone ever in my entire life. Now, obviously, if that is you, if you've struggled with retroactive jealousy in your past, that's very valuable information. Because for some people, not everyone, but for some of you, this can help you kind of put your retroactive jealousy into perspective and maybe help sort of answer some of the questions about values and compatibility and fit that you might be asking yourself. In other words, you can kind of get a different idea or more clarity, shall we say, on the question of whether the problem is with your partner or whether the problem is with you. Because if you've struggled with really irrational retroactive jealousy in every single one of your past relationships, hopefully this knowledge, if that fits you, if that fits your description or your self-assessment, if that sounds like you, it should be much easier to completely own this problem 100%, to take full responsibility for solving this problem, to take full ownership of this problem on yourself, and stop putting it on your partner if that's what you've been inclined to do in the past. And just so you know, you've probably heard me say it before if you've been watching my channel for a while, and you've certainly heard me say it before if you've read any of my books or taken any of my online courses. You can find links to all that stuff in the description. You've heard me say this before, but your partner cannot solve this problem for you. I promise you. If that was as simple as it was, if you could merely involve your partner in your healing, if you could give them a certain program or certain things to say or all the rest, or if there was a certain amount of reassurance that your partner could give you that would solve retroactive jealousy, that'd be wonderful. But that's not the way this problem works. So don't put this problem on your partner to solve. It doesn't work. I've been doing this work for almost 10 years now. Thousands, and I mean this literally, thousands of emails. I can't name one person who emailed me and said that, you know what, Zach, I asked my partner 8,000 questions and that solved my retroactive jealousy for good. This problem doesn't work that way. You absolutely must accept responsibility, accept ownership of the problem in order to move forward, regardless of your decision moving forward. Whether you decide to break up with your current partner and find someone new, or whether you decide to save the relationship and overcome retroactive jealousy. Finally, my third question for you today that I think is really worthwhile to spend some time thinking about. Are there any external life circumstances, any external life events that could be influencing your current emotional state? Is there any external stress in your life that could be spurring on at least some of your current feelings of panic, anxiety, and maybe obsession around your partner's past? Is there stress at work? Is there a loved one who's ill? Is there some big momentous life event or milestone immediately on the horizon? To clarify this last point, a lot of men in particular reach out to me, come to me for coaching, when they've got some big milestone in their life on the horizon, and this milestone has coincided with intense feelings of retroactive jealousy. What I mean by this is they're thinking about proposing to their girlfriend. And merely the thought of this is producing all kinds of feelings of anxiety and what if she's the one and what if I can trust her, retroactive jealousy and all the rest. Or maybe they've got a wedding coming up, or maybe they've got a child who's about to be born. These are momentous life events, and these can be extremely emotionally charged and stressful situations in the best of times. So obviously we can't blame retroactive jealousy on a wedding or an engagement or the birth of a child or stress at work or, an illness among a loved one. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I'm saying gaining the perspective on your entire life, everything that's happening in your life outside of the relationship, can be useful when you're trying to assess where all these feelings are coming from, when you're trying to get a handle on whether or not your problem with your partner's past is because your partner's past is actually a problem, or maybe you're dealing with some irrational jealousy that is at least partially fueled by external, highly emotionally charged life events. So there you have it. I hope you found this helpful. 3 questions to ask yourself if you're struggling with retroactive jealousy. If you did find this helpful or thought-provoking, or you want to share your answers to any of these questions, I would love it if you did. You can leave a comment beneath this video telling me what you think. Please also hit the like button as well while you're at it. And while you're at that, please make sure you subscribe to my channel as well to be notified of new videos moving forward. Thanks again for watching. I'll talk to you again very soon.